I was never going to get a proper director because nobody could understand rocket science the way it is supposed to be, because it is rocket science.
It's literally rocket science.
That in most biopics, you have to add a little bit of cinematic liberties to make it palatable as cinema.
Sure.
I can promise you that in this film, I had to take out stuff to make it believable. Hey guys, I'm at Cannes and I had this wonderful opportunity to do an interview with Anupama Chopra about Rocketry, and a lot of secrets have been revealed, including how cool and wonderful it is in Cannes. Do watch it, share and subscribe on Film Companion.
Air France presents Flying High at Cannes, a series in which we talk to some of the most accomplished Indian artists at the Cannes Film Festival. Maddie, first of all, so lovely to see you in Cannes. We are here. I just want to set context. We are sitting in a yacht with a neighboring yacht with very loud music.
Yeah, looks like we're on the wrong yacht.
That's right. We're just on the wrong yacht.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at, of course, the trailer for Rocketry, the Nambi Effect, researching this for this interview, and I was just thinking, what a Herculean labor of love this film is for you. You know, to not just act, but to produce, to write. And you said in an interview with Variety that I haven't even directed a film on an iPhone before, and here I am. Tell me what is in your head right now. Like, are you just taking in all the responses? You're going to have a screening? What's going on?
In all honesty, if I were to throw away this mask of bravado that I have, I would probably cry.
Oh.
I really mean it. It's not something that started off, with our wider than wildest imagination of being at Cannes for your world premiere. That was not how the story started off.
No.
It started off in my when I met Mr. Madhavan, and he came and told me a story which looked like it was a story about a spy who was caught red-handed, but apparently turned out to be innocent because he had an affair with a Maldivian woman. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, nice, it's a James Bondish story, which is true. So let's go meet Mr. Nambi Narayanan. And of course, what happened after that was one life-transforming moment for me, because it just swallowed me up. You know, they say that most actors like to do films that the subjects just reach out and grabs them, and they know that that's the right subject to do at that point of time in their lives. I think this is one of those. Then I met him, and I was very sure that I wasn't seeing the whole picture. For some reason, I met Mr. Nambi Narayanan at 7 o'clock in the evening in Trivandrum, and he was so angsty and he was so angry that, you know, people called him a traitor 20 years ago, that he's still holding on to it, and he was telling me the facts of how he could prove that he was innocent. Actually, when I started the film, half the verdicts had not come out, and he hadn't been given the Padma Bhushan, nor had he been given the compensation.
Sort of exonerated, yeah.
Yeah. They said he was innocent, but there was no proof of being innocent till you got the compensations and the stuff. So he had the angst, you could feel it. And so I took 6 months to write this story. I said, let me write this story about this case. And then I went to meet him again and to get the story approved. And somewhere in that conversation, he said, you've got most of it right, but here, this bit about the stability theorem is not right, because I was in Princeton, New Jersey, when I discovered when I worked on the stability theorem. I said, when were you in Princeton? What is this Princeton bit? He said, I was the first Ivy League student to be from India to be in. I said, when were you planning to tell me that? And Anupama, he started telling me things about his story that nobody knew. And suddenly, from being a film on a case and how a man was wrongly arrested, it just turned out to be this, a whale of a emotion for me. Like it was, I literally wailed, because I'm saying, how do we not know about this guy? It almost feels like a national disservice not to know about Nambi Narayanan, and that's how it started. So. I have lots to talk about it, but I know that that's how it started, that this overwhelming desire to tell this man's story. And then we as in India, why are we like this? Why are we, as somebody where we can't believe that a good boy exists, you know what I mean? He's one of those guys in the class who does all his homework, he'll have his shoe polished, he'll wear the glass, he'll wear his shirt tucked in, and you want to slap him because you can't be that good and not have a flaw. And so that's probably what kind of got to me. And then from there to, having direction being thrust upon me at the last minute, I had a breakdown point. So I was like, we have the choice. You just drop the film as it is right now, forget about the money that we spent on it, or you direct it. And my investors were very keen, and Mr. Nambi Narayanan said, I've spoken to many people, but you understand the science that I'm talking about, with your background. I think you should be
Because you're an engineer.
Because I studied BSc electronics,
Right.
but I'm vastly experienced with engineering. So I've done all sorts of projects and engineering, and my father's an engineer and everything. But at the end of the day, the choice was, shall we jump into it, or make the more sensible choice and wait for some time and get a proper director. And my answer was, I was never going to get a proper director because nobody could understand rocket science the way it is supposed to be, because it is rocket science.
It's literally rocket
science. Yeah. So I said, so be it, and I jumped into it. And I remember I called a friend of mine, and he told me, one shot at a time. And so we took it on, one shot at a time, 3 languages. Every shot to be done in 3 languages. All my actors here speak Hindi, Tamil and English.
It's incredible. I want to talk to you more about that. But before that, Maddie, I want to ask you, you said that it's not a commercial venture for any of us. It's more a national duty, right? Now, I get the sentiment, but in storytelling, that can sometimes weigh down the narrative. How did you as a director and a storyteller kind of ensure that it is about the story and not the larger kind of vision behind it?
The answer to that is I didn't want to direct it. So I wasn't even looking at it as a in all the lights that you're saying. Because in fact, I don't even understand half the things you're saying. To be honest, I don't know what it means by a vision weighing down. Because I'm an actor, I don't hear these kind of lines when I come to see a movie.
Sure,
when I do a movie, tell me what the character is, and what time is pack up, and I'm done.
Right.
So, but I think the one thing that motivated me, or was actually made me a little upset enough to go and try and promote something, is the kind of negative, actually in my interest, but more saying, don't do this for me. It's not commercial at all. It's not. Why are you doing it? Why do you? Why? And they were doing it because they were, they're taking care of my interests, I guess. But they say, why do you want to do it in 3 languages? Yeah, do it in Tamil. See the Madrasi guy do it. Why do you want to do it in Hindi and English? Why?
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, why is my heart saying do it in English? Because this man, his achievement is much more accepted and glorified in France, for instance. I don't know if you know, but he worked with the SCP here in France, and that's where he learned with the help of the Viking engine to make the Vikas in India. So there was all these places that were all speaking in English, including ISRO. So I was actually manipulating the film if I was making everybody speak in Tamil.
Right.
Or in Hindi. Yeah. In fact, the most common language, the most justifiable language for this film to be made was in English. So I just said, why are these people telling me all these things? And then I said, it's my money. And I wanted to talk to these funders, and I said, are you guys okay with it in 3 languages? They said, yeah, by all means, let's do it.
But you also dubbed it in 3 more.
Actually, Anupama, we've done something crazy. Because there is so much of English in the Hindi version. Because, a large part of the film is in Scotland, is in France, is in Russia. And they can't be speaking in Hindi. Okay, so they're speaking in English. So we have a English version, where they speak English and Hindi, and we have a Hindi version.
You dubbed it in Hindi
Everybody's
as well.
in Hindi.
Correct.
So we have 5 dubbed languages and 3 original languages.
Amazing.
Yeah, we said, in for a penny, in for a pound. Yeah, let's do what you want to do.
अब वो कहते हैं ना मुस्लिम में सर घुसाई दिया.
अब डरना गया.
I love it.
Yeah.
But tell me, Maddie, he himself, Mr. Nambi Narayanan, was on your sets. He was involved with the script work, right? Given that, how do you as a director take creative liberties if you have to? How do you sort of improvise or have dramatic flourishes because he's on the set, he's watching you? How did that work?
No, so it wasn't true that he was on the set.
He wasn't?
No.
Okay.
No, he was just there to help us with the scientific aspect of it, just to make sure we got the rocketry aspect of it right. He was there so that, I had a big challenge as a writer. See, if my protagonist was a runner or a cricket player, I don't have to define his ability to the audiences. They know.
Yeah.
This is how the square cut is it, and this is how he runs very fast. That's how do you explain a rocket science's
Correct.
achievement, and then have it in awe, and what he's done has to be awe-inspiring for you to understand why it is such an injustice that he has to go through what he did. So I had to write it in such a way that by the time the first half got over, everybody in the hall thought they knew enough about rocketry.
Correct.
And so to make it that, I had to have him there and say, am I saying something wrong if I break it down into this layman's terms or stuff like that? And that's the only reason he was there. But in terms of, and it's a very valid question what you're asking me, because, and I want to answer it by saying that in most biopics, you have to add a little bit of cinematic liberties to make it palatable as cinema.
Sure.
I can promise you that in this film, I had to take out stuff to make it believable. Forget about palatable as cinema. Whatever you have seen so far in the trailer is all true. There's no liberty being taken. There's nothing which is, a spin-off from the fact with half a fact. Time and space has been crunched so that we can, so characters who are contributed to the story in two different individuals that have become one.
Sure.
That's the kind of liberty I had to take as a writer. But apart from the incidences that actually happened, they actually did. So for me, to dramatize them, was an.
You don't have to.
I didn't have to.
Because the truth is stranger than fiction, right?
And much more dramatic and impactful than if I had to, conceive something creatively about it. It was just naked, you could see this man's eyes, they hurt, and even now he's going, Bharat, India, let's do something, and the kind of cruelty we've inflicted upon him. What are these people made of? You look back and you think your country, and if you look at all the media and all the news that you get about the country on a day, you wonder how it's even surviving, how it's being held together. But then you realize that deep inside, it's these pillars, these people with that integrity that are probably the reason why India is what it is right now.
Tell me about the logistics of 3 languages. Do you do each scene in 3 languages, and what does that do to the spontaneity of the actors?
Because it's a biopic, it's been written. I just had to, I had to just take out of that and make sure that the idea is conveyed. So there isn't a lot of spontaneity in terms of how the characters are played, because it's pretty much already.
You've got to go with the script.
With the script, or with the actual story that happened.
Sure.
So the first thing that we did in terms of logistics is to write the script in all the 3 languages and see if it had the same impact. And one thing we did is, because I had almost newcomers on my set, because you really had to look like a rocket scientist. And the look of a rocket scientist is very different from any other scientist, leave alone, and I couldn't find established actors who would pull it off, because you had word like specific impulse, or, that should look like they used it all their lives.
Right?
In all languages. In all languages. So I had the most, if you ask me one singular thing that managed, that helped me make this film the way I wanted it to, is because of an extraordinary God-sent team. So I had a casting team that found these people who would speak English, Hindi and Tamil as fluently.
Right.
And they were also scientifically inclined. So the one thing we did was, hundreds of days of rehearsals.
Really?
Yeah. So we just, except for Mr. Shahrukh and Surya, everybody else, we were doing rehearsals. I would do the production and the entire logistics during the day, and at 10 o'clock at night we'll sit and then we'll start, Simran and the rest, all the actors here. We'll do the scene once in one language, and then we'll do it in Tamil, and then we'll do it in English.
So you workshopped it a lot.
Yeah. Everybody was very keen. I was, as a director, I needed the workshop myself. So everybody was there. And then I just wanted to know if I can capture the truth of what these guys were trying to say. So as an actor, I knew a lot of tricks that I could tell them to do. So if there was an emotional scene, I would just tell them, today, don't worry about it. Just stay in your room till I call you. Go think about the girlfriend who dumped you right now. And that would work. That would work. So those are the things we did. But to answer your question as a final statement, every day we would plan our shoot from 7 in the morning till 6 in the evening. I don't think we ever reached 6 in the evening, and we packed up at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock every
Because you were
day.
all rehearsed so much, you knew exactly what was
exactly what we had to do.
Right.
So whether it's turned out, where people will appreciate what we've done is anybody's question. But it's definitely turned out the way we wanted it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And tell me, Nari, in this, because this is so daunting, right? It isn't, what you're saying is, is overwhelming and there is so much money involved. Did you ever have a moment of like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
मेरा अच्छा खासा career चल रहा था. मैं क्या सोच रहा था? Did you have that moment?
All the time, right before
Really?
giving this interview as well. Like, yeah. For one look at Mr. Nambi Narayanan,
Yeah.
and then it makes it all worth it for me.
How lovely.
Yeah, because I have a son, and there's COVID. I didn't make any money during the COVID. I didn't make any money 2 years before the COVID because I was doing this film for that long. I mean, things that kept me alive were the one-off chances I took on OTT to keep the fires burning. But apart from that, I haven't done any films. So my last film was Vikrameda, for instance.
And what a terrific film that is.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But apart from that, yeah, I just, so this fear, constant fear of why all your money, put your money where your mouth is. And then so when I'm with Sarita and we talk about it, she was a great, my wife was a great support in terms of strength. She says, I've never seen you so happy. You're exhausted, you're pissed off, you're tired, but you're sleeping with a smile. And I'm saying, I'll trade all the money in the world for that.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's lovely. You talked about your son who of course is making his own headlines and his own waves and then talking about being in the Olympics 2024. So clearly ambition runs in the family.
Well, I don't talk about it. He's kind of vociferous about it. I told him, yeah, just, take it easy, man. Yeah. So he says, you take it easy.
But isn't that fabulous?
Yeah.
I mean,
of course, I'm very proud of him.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of what he and Sarita have managed to achieve. There were a lot of people with raised eyebrows when we moved to Dubai for his training, but it is his growth spurt. The children have a growth spurt. The Russians are very particular about this growth spurt because that's when the nutrition value and exercise kicks in. And it was during that time that he got COVID and all the pools were closed. So I had no choice. My wife actually just upped and left. And I had to run behind her after that. But it was a good move because he's been training hard over there. And he has a long way to go, Anupama. I mean, he also knows that, and we know. Olympics is a pipe dream right now, at least to 2024. He's just 16. But I know one thing is that I never had to wake him up at 4 o'clock in the last 6 years of my life. He was up. So, it's 6 hours of swimming. So being up at 4 o'clock without having to wake him up was sign enough for me to say he's committed. So I'm okay. Yeah.
It's very impressive.
Yeah.
You must be very proud.
Yeah, he goes to sleep at 8 o'clock and he's at night, which is unheard of amongst teenagers right now. So we don't have to tell him that he's asleep. So
चलो तो इसकी तो फिक्र नहीं है ना?
अभी तक नहीं है. फिक्र हो गई सबके साथ, but अभी नहीं है.
अभी आप सिर्फ रॉकेटरी की फिक्र करो. Tell me finally, Maddie, how has the Cannes experience been? I know you were saying earlier that it's been chaotic and overwhelming. Are you enjoying it?
I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't figured out whether I've enjoyed the experience as much because it's been a scramble for the last 10 days from the time we're coming over here. So it's been one crisis after the other. And they told me it's going to be nice and cool, so I wore this. And look at us, both of us, we're sweating.
Just sweating? We're both wiping away.
Yeah. And then both our souls just sat outside in the cool and said, you do what you want, because we're not sitting over there. Hotter than hell. But so it isn't anything that I expected it to be. The red carpet was fun, But again, I was sweating so much that I was afraid that people will find out that, And I think the biggest fear that I have is, like I have on every set when I go on the first day, is that people will figure out that तेरे को कुछ नहीं आता. So you've just been faffing all this while, and they'll know that you don't know how to act, and that fear is very frightening. And now that's been multiplied 100 times because I'm now just directing and writing this. So it didn't hit me when I was doing it. It was like, हाँ यार अभी action करते तो मेरे को बोलना है यार, and I've never been to an editing room. तो ऐसे खत्म डायरेक्टर नहीं इतना तो खत्म कर लेते हैं, we'll see how it goes. And from there it got done, it got ready, it got finished, then all sorts of things. And he got vindicated, then he got the Padma Bhushan, then next thing we are in Cannes. So I hadn't prepared for this. So I don't know if I'm enjoying it. I'll let you know once I go back.
देखो जी इधर तक आ गए हो.
हाँ.
You will go further ahead as well. Maddie, so lovely to see you.
Thank you.
And talk to you and have a great festival.
Thank you.
And yes, I will check up on you post festival.
Yeah.
कैसा था?
Post tonight, after that.
Thank you.
But I think there is one part of me that's not here at all. It's just still thinking, but I'm very glad that you that I got a chance to meet you. You're a great source of positive energy, Anupama. So thank you so much. Thank you.
you.